Well, despite that growing international outcry over the war in Gaza, the recognition of a Palestinian state by several Western nations for the first time ever, and even despite warnings from Donald Trump against annexing the West Bank, Benjamin Netanyahu was arguably more defiant than ever in his remarks to the UN this Friday. Things getting off to quite a dramatic start as dozens of world leaders theatrically walked out of the assembly to the sound of audible boos and rapturous applause, presumably for those who were walking out. The Israeli Prime Minister still starting his remarks with the expected. He blasted not only Hamas, but also Iran, Hezbollah, militants in Syria and Yemen, and generally gloated about Israel's military victories. He insisted that the military is not done yet and will finish the job as fast as possible in Gaza City. For more, France 24's international affairs editor Kethevane Gorjestani joins us on set. Hi, Kethevane. So can you take us through his remarks then?
Well, look, I think what was clear is that the main message of that speech was Israel against the world, and it sort of was portrayed physically within that UN General Assembly with that walkout of dozens and dozens of diplomats, and the fact that he gave his speech in front of largely half-empty, at the very least, audience. If you look at the diplomatic representations, not the sort of crowd that is attending the speech. And a lot of the applause was coming from the Israeli and the American delegation. And that really set the stage for that sort of fiery speech where Benjamin Netanyahu spent part of the speech sort of touting the accomplishments of the Israeli military with those maps that he showed of all of the bad actors in the world that they managed to take out, from the Iranians to the Lebanese Hezbollah to the Houthis in Yemen, really making his case, which has been acknowledged by some Western leaders, which is that the Israeli military has managed to take out the leadership of a lot of terrorist organizations, including, for example, Hezbollah and Hamas. He also had quite a bit to say about those countries, including France, that recognized Palestinian statehood just a few days ago, with this comment saying that the recognition of a Palestinian state was a very clear message sent to the world, which is that killing Jews pays off. This, of course, is exactly the opposite to what the argument has been of these countries, which is that they recognized a Palestinian state because they see it as the only way to keep alive the two-state solution. A two-state solution, of course, that Benjamin Netanyahu has said multiple times in the past that he is opposed to. He has said it. The Palestinian state will not happen. So it was a lot of fire, a lot of criticism, really targeting basically most of the world besides the United States. Also, of course, praising Trump, this ahead of their meeting at the White House on Monday.
So, Kethevane, amongst other aspects of the humanitarian situation, before we get to that, we're going to take a listen to part of what Benjamin Netanyahu said on that.
Hamas, a genocidal terrorist organization whose charter calls for the murder of all Jews on the planet. This genocidal organization is given a pass. It's barely mentioned. While Israel, which does everything it can to get civilians out of harm's way, Israel is put in the dock.
So amongst other aspects of the humanitarian situation, then, Kethevane, one of the things that Benjamin Netanyahu did was to deny that Israel has any responsibility at all for the humanitarian situation, notably the famine. What else did he say?
Well, look, this idea that Israel has done everything it could to deliberately feed the Palestinians, as he put it, throwing away all the criticism from all corners of the world, really, and from independent organizations saying that there is a man-made famine and that Israel is responsible. Just to remind our viewers, Israel has controlled all the border crossings. They're the ones who blocked the entry history of humanitarian aid. They're the ones who, with the Americans, set up a sort of a new organization that was supposed to deliver the food to the Palestinians because, as they say, they believe that Hamas is taking control of that. But when they took over that delivery of food, the locations where they were delivering the food was sort of a place where Palestinians went and got shot at. He also said, as we heard in that soundbite, that they did everything they could to avoid civilian deaths. When you look at what has been going on over the past 2 years, that's not really how things are going. An army that is very capable of targeting one floor in a building in a foreign country has razed entire neighborhoods in Gaza. They've targeted schools. They've targeted hospitals, all against international law. They've targeted humanitarian workers. They've targeted journalists, rescue workers. All of these things, their response each time is either that it was a mistake or that these people were actually Hamas. And so they are basically equating a lot of the civilians with Hamas and excusing, in a way, the way they have operated in Gaza.
Kethevane Gorjestani, thank you very much for that roundup.